Hey readers, can you recognize where I am? I'm at school. Nobody's here. It's so quiet and kind of strange, to be honest, to be here without you guys. But that's precisely why I thought I would come here and do some of my chapters, because it's nice and quiet and I won't get interrupted. And it just feels kind of appropriate to read while I'm at school. Plus, us teachers still have to work too, and there was some stuff I needed to do here. So here we are. I'll apologize in advance. My allergies and my nose is kind of sniffly today, so in case you were missing the sound, you might get a chance to hear a sneeze or two today. So you're welcome. So we're ready for chapter 11. Let's review. Maddie's mother has yellow fever. So because of that, the coffee house has to be closed, and mother is sending Maddie away to the country to stay with a family called the Ludingtons. Grandfather's going to accompany her, and that's right where we left off. Maddie is getting ready to leave town. So we're going to pick up right there with chapter 11. Here we go. September 7th, 1793. With only one half-starved horse pulling us, it took nearly an hour to be clear of the city line. The dry road was rutted from the wagons and carriages which had fled before us. The insects were vicious. I smacked at them on my arms and legs until my skin stung. Grandfather took out his handkerchief and mopped sweat off his face and neck. I waved away a mosquito that buzzed in my ear. "It's the smell of that baby," I said. "His drawers are full, and it's attracting every bug for miles." Grandfather chuckled. The laughter caught in his throat and made him cough. I watched with alarm as his face reddened. I pounded his back until he raised his arm in protest. "I'm fine, child, I'm fine. No need to beat me senseless." The farmer turned around in his seat and glared at them. "He ain't sick, is he? I'll not have fever victims in my wagon." "You take care you don't drive off the road. We're fine back here. Mind your horse," I snapped. Grandfather raised an eyebrow. "You're turning into a regular scold, Maddie Cook. You sound like your mother ordering men folk around." "Some men folk need ordering." "That they do." He straightened his legs as best he could between the baskets and clothing bundles. "I propose we enjoy our carriage ride in the country. It would hardly be proper to remove my coat, but if I can beg my lady's indulgence, I will unfasten a button or two." His stiff fingers fumbled with the pewter buttons until they released and he could breathe with ease. "There," he sighed. "It's better. It's time to review your soldiering lessons." I groaned. From my crawling days, Grandfather had taught me all the tricks of the American and the British armies, and quite a few from the French, again and again and again. It would do no good to argue. I was his captive. "A soldier needs 3 things to fight," he continued. He held up 3 fingers and waited for my response. "1, a sturdy pair of boots," I said. 2, a full belly. And 3, a decent night's sleep. Grandfather thunked his boots on the floorboards. "Hey," protested the farmer. Grandfather belched. Said the farmer's wife. "Eliza fed me breakfast enough for 2 blacksmiths." He pulled the brim of his hat down over his eyes and settled back against a rolled-up mattress. "And now I'm going to get some sleep before our coachman delivers us to the joys of the Ludington family barnyard and their odoriferous pigs." "Pigs," echoed King George. I settled in alongside him so my head rested on his chest. The rhythmic turning of the wagon wheels, the hum of insects in the barley fields along the road, and the beat of Grandfather's heart blended into a lullaby. I woke when the wheels stopped turning. I had to shield my eyes from the sun. "Why are we stopping?" I asked. The farmer didn't answer, but pointed up the road. The baby cried. 4 horsemen with muskets blocked our way. Robbers. I felt for the small purse hidden in my pocket and nudged grandfather with my elbow. The farmer let his hand drop to the knife handle rising up from his boot. The baby wailed and the horse shifted nervously in his traces. The riders advanced. One of the men lifted his hat. "Don't be afraid. We mean you no harm." The farmer's hand stayed on the knife. "You are entering Pembroke," said the second man. "Planning on staying here?" "Just passing through," said the farmer. "Taking these folks on up to Gwynedd, and the wife and me are heading for her mother's in Bethlehem." "We don't have any money," said the farmer's wife. The first man took a piece of paper from under his coat. "We aren't highwaymen, ma'am. We've been authorized by the town council, to keep out fever victims. I have to ask you to step down so our doctor here can have a look at you. If you aren't sick, then you can pass through town. If you are, you'll have to turn around." The farmer jumped to the ground. His wife handed their baby down to him, then hopped into the dust herself. I shook grandfather to wake him. The doctor examined the little family, peering under their eyelids and looking down their throats. I shook grandfather harder. "Wake up," I said. "There's a doctor here who has to see us." He didn't move. Something twisted up inside me. I pinched his nose. "Grandfather," I said, my voice louder, "please wake up." "Is there a problem here, miss?" The doctor walked to the side of the wagon. He opened one of grandfather's eyes with his fingers. Grandfather woke with a start. "What in the name of heavens?" grandfather shouted. He broke off into a coughing fit. "Water," he croaked. I looked at the men on horseback. "Can he have some water, please? We've been traveling in the sun all morning." The men looked at each other and at the doctor. Grandfather stopped coughing and leaned back wearily. "I'm fine, child. I can wait till we get to the farm. I seem to have contracted a summer grip, which is like a cold." He tried to sit up straighter. "No need for further delay. Off we go." The doctor stepped back and covered his mouth with his hands. "Take this man back to the city," he commanded. "He's infected with disease." "No!" the farmer shouted. One of the horsemen turned his horse and galloped away. "Nonsense," grandfather said. "There's nothing wrong." And he broke off coughing again. I stared in horror, first at grandfather, then at the doctor. "You must help him," I cried. "If he's sick, you must help him." The farmer grabbed me under my arms, pulled me out of the wagon, and threw me into the road. He and the doctor lifted grandfather and deposited him beside me. King George squawked and circled above the commotion. "They aren't my family," the farmer said as he motioned for his wife to climb aboard. "They only rode in the back the last mile or so. They was walking and we picked 'em up." "He's lying," I shouted. "I don't have no fever," the farmer continued. "My wife and baby are healthy. Let me just drive through so I can get to Bethlehem by nightfall. We won't stop for nothing." The doctor nodded to the leader of the group. "Go ahead," the man said. "Make haste." The farmer brought the whip down with all his strength, and the wagon lurched forward. I stared, my mouth open, as the wagon disappeared into a cloud of dust. Our food, our clothing, gone. This couldn't be happening. "Go back to Philadelphia," the doctor advised. "There are physicians there who will treat you, but you can't stay here." "We can't walk," I protested. "It's miles." "Have you no mercy?" said grandfather. The leader of the group looked down at him. "We have to take care of our own, sir." Grandfather glared at the man. I had never seen him so angry. He looked as if he wanted to run the man through with his sword. But he just stared. "And I shall look after mine," grandfather vowed. "I shall look after mine."